Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to another StarCraft 2 broadcast. My name is Anaris, and today we're here watching a 1 versus 1 on the map Tal'Darim Altar. This is one of the new GSL maps, so let's look at the players for just a moment. We do have Jojo Jung spawning as the Protoss in the bottom left, and his Terran opponent is going to be Nex Sora AoE. Now, if that name is familiar to you, I've actually cast a couple different games with him. Number one was that epic 2 versus 2, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but let's just say there was some crazy comeback action from one of the teams. And then after that, I cast a 1 versus 1 from this guy where he used the similar strategy as in the 2v2. Very surprising how effective it was, but nonetheless, it's a very good game to watch. And then the next free-for-all, which pretty darn interesting game as well. So I should actually have links for you at the end of this video if you want to go watch any of those other games. But in the meantime, let's spend a minute or two and analyze the map a bit. So here we are in the beginning area for the Terran player, and keep in mind this is mirrored 4 different ways. So looking at this spot down here, you're going to expect to see similar layout for the map in all 4 corners. Here's the main base, pretty big. We see normal 8 mineral patches there, and over here we do have a cliff leading down to another expansion. It does take a little while to get to that one. A more immediately available expansion is this one right to the north of the main base. Notice that the entrance to the main base, there's no ramp or anything like that. It is a choke point with 2 little terrain features right here kind of narrowing it down just a tiny bit. And then up here, we have the entrance to the natural expansion. Again, a little bit wider, but still those same terrain features. And notice how this is on elevated ground. Now, here's the first ramp you're going to run into. You'll see that it's a little bit of a choke point compared to some of the other standard Blizzard maps. Getting up here, your forces are going to be funneled a tiny bit, but that can be alleviated by, say, giving them a wide angle to come up here, or if you just make sure they're all spread out during the assault. Speaking of assault, if this natural expansion does come under attack, you notice there's a couple different options here. For one, for defensive purposes, say a Terran or Protoss can put siege tanks or Colossi right here and be able to fire at the units while they come up the ramp. But at the same token, this place is very vulnerable to siege tank and Colossi fire. Can lay down some fire right there in the mineral line and basically shut the expansion down without fully penetrating the defenses. Down here we have more flat terrain leading to another expansion with a reduced mineral count. You see there's only 5 sets of minerals here, but 1 Vespene Geyser. So the Terran player over here is Sorio. As we see, he is opening up with a fast expansion build. Now, this is one of the things that you're going to see on this map and all of the other GSL maps. You're going to see strategies that are a little bit different from your standard builds. You're going to see a lot of different timings, and as the players develop a better understanding of how the maps work, the balance and whatnot, you're going to start to see some strategies really come into play that are map specific. But for a little while, there's still some experimentation, a little bit of learning to do on these maps, because they're still relatively new to the community. And as some of you already know, I do have a contest going on right now where I am asking that pretty much any viewer that wants to submit a game of you playing on one of the GSL maps, and I'm going to cast 1 or more of the most epic ones that I receive. So you can find out about that in my contest video, which is just a little bit down on my video listing over on the right. So for now, let's look at what's going on for the Terran player. Got to see he is going with Marines currently. 2 bunkers, pretty good deal at this point in the game. He did delay his gas just a little bit, and then to catch up, he did cap both of them at the same time. And the Protoss player over here opening up a pretty universal build so far. Going with a 2-gate robo, it appears, not taking his expansion just yet. We'll see how that is going to impact him as we do move later on into the game here. But I do want to point out, over here in the middle, very, very large, wide open area. You see the entry points, the ramps, they're huge! I mean, capital U's all the way down the end of the line here. Massive. 4 xel'naga watchtowers are at key points here. They do have a nice little grass placement to block vision. And one key thing to note about these GSL maps, they don't have high-yield expansions. So pretty interesting stuff there. Kind of limit the ability of a player to make a really solid push when they do capture that high yield, as they do have that increased mineral income. But for the time being, let's stick with this map. Again, the name is Tal'Darim Altar, and there's a few other different maps that are available for GSL play, and they should be available on the North American server, although I will point out that the North American versions are slightly different. You'll notice that on the North American versions, those expansions that have 5 minerals here have 8, so they're kind of standardized in that regard. for North American play, what people are used to. But those crazy Koreans like to do things differently, and it always makes for some very great gameplay. Now, looking at Sora's build here, it's a little bit different than what you've probably seen from his previous games, where he did opt for a more marine-heavy focus. So now we're seeing he's going directly into a factory, has the tech lab with siege tech on the way. Protoss is now expanding and getting a Colossus, which would be great against the Marines. It's going to remain to be seen, though, how effective it'll be against Sora's new build. I haven't actually seen any other strategies from Sora other than the Marine focus, so I'm a little curious to see what kind of play he's looking to do here. See if he's going to be doing any sort of experimentation, or if we see a pretty solid build coming down the line here that he feels fairly confident in. So that's going to remain to be seen. But yeah, in the meantime, like I said, if you guys play any cool maps, play any cool games rather on the GSL maps, definitely send them to my email address. That's anaristarcraft@gmail.com, and let me know what if you happen to have any particular thoughts about the map there. And all right, well, guess he just feels the need to fire at his barracks. Cool story, bro. 2 more factories are on the way, so he is going to be going a very mech-heavy build. Also has a starport with a tech lab, so he could be getting some. He could be maybe saving up for Banshee harassment, or he could simply be saving up to get a Raven support. Point defense drones, very effective against gateway builds with Stalkers. Also very effective against Phoenix play. So, Protoss right now, looking at the unit composition, we got pretty much one of everything. 1 Zealot, 1 Colossus, 1 Stalker, 1 Sentry, 2 Siege Tanks, 9 Marines. Both players, again, they're playing rather defensively right now, not being too aggressive. That's because throughout this early point in the game, they've kind of scouted each other out, kind of feeling what they're going for, and both of them are more or less aware of the fact that, they're not going to be super aggressive. So let's look one more thing here before we focus a little bit more on the players. There is an additional entrance to the main base here. Right here, there's a ramp with a wider point of entry heading back here. It's kind of a back entrance into the second natural for the player down here. This is the one with only 5 resources. So that's one of the things I really like about this map is the different resource quantities are going to make for some completely unique strategies, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm sure the players by now are so tired of the standard 8 mineral patches everywhere. It's just really set the game kind of, I don't want to call it stagnant, but I feel like it's just not as fun to watch because you'll see the same 2 or 3 strategies on the maps that you see today in the Blizzard ladder rotation. But for now, I'm hoping that we're going to have some epic games on these maps, as both players continue to just kind of build up at this point, trying to anticipate what their opponent is going to have and be ready for that initial engagement. Terran, again, having those siege tanks, great idea. It's going to be a fantastic position here for the defense. You see he's actually positioned there right at the choke. Now, this spot, he will be a little vulnerable to land units such as Stalkers that may decide to fire up here. So it looks like he's actually adjusting them to be a little bit farther back, so any units that do decide to attack these siege tanks directly will have to come right up into the cliff, which actually you kind of have a hard time seeing there. There you go. Now you can see the cliff walls. Maybe it's just me and my partially colorblind awesomeness, but that is okay because we don't have a floating barracks up here. We're going to be able to give a little bit of additional vision. Good times there. Uh-oh, look at that. Protoss has an idea for this expansion. Not going to happen, though. He is deciding to throw down a pylon right beside it. May want to warp in stuff, and there goes the command center right there, just lifting off, saying, you know what, I'm not going to try to fight with it at this point. Most of my forces down here are pretty immobile. You do have the siege tanks, which would take a pretty darn long time to get all the way across the map, and then Protoss would see this and say, oh, hey, guess what? Party time down at the Terran base, and probably attack. 1 Stalker still just kind of hanging out here, as we have a pylon getting ready to be placed by the probe. 2 pylons, actually. We see Terran is pretty much taking all of his forces with him, looking to go on the move, possibly force a direct engagement at the Protoss natural expansion. We see right here he is currently chrono boosting out a lot of Void Rays, working on, let's see, what has he got right now? He's got 3 of them total. Also 3 Colossi. Terran just kind of hanging out in the middle here, waiting for a good opportunity. You see he is established with Siege mode at the top of the ramp here. Very good position. Here come the Colossi. Phoenix could actually lift off a couple of those tanks. They are running in there taking some shots, though. Pylon is now complete. Do want to point that out there, as Protoss, realizing attacking that position almost cost him one of the Colossi there, as Terran does do inch up just a tiny bit. Will he be able to pick off that Colossus? No, I think he will be able to retreat. Very close, however, as we do look to have our first major engagement of the fight. Terran slowly pushing up. I do like how he has built a Thor here. He is continuing to build out 3 more Thors, so he is going a very Thor-heavy build. 4 factories total. Another command center, and now the Protoss is starting to warp in forces here, maybe looking to put some pressure on the Terran player, while the majority of his army is over at the Protoss base. A couple siege tanks are in position. Siege tanks unsieged have a very high rate of fire, a lot of damage, and now the Colossi are doing tons of damage to the Marines. However, the siege tanks are in a great position. Look at that, just one up here, absorbing a lot of the damage from the Colossi, while the rest of them were able to successfully knock out all but one. That one is dangerously close to death as well. So we see the Void Rays are actually being brought over here by Jojo Jung. There's only one Thor right now, so these siege tanks could be in a lot of trouble. They're moving up here, going to try to do as much damage as possible, but we're seeing the Phoenix actually lift those tanks off. Not going to be very effective while they are in the air, as even the Hellions are coming over here just a little bit late, trying to pick off that Colossus. Again, not going to happen. Just not enough firepower combined with those I can't talk. Void Rays, the Void Rays. I swear I played StarCraft 2 before. So now we have the Raven finally in the field. Going to be throwing down some point defense drones, maybe some auto turrets, help out against the Void Rays, which are currently hanging out where the siege tanks were just a moment ago. Terran just continuing to build up his forces here. I think he realized that attack wasn't going to go so well if he decided to put some more pressure on. But I think it's really hilarious how Sora has this expansion just beside the Protoss over here in the top left, and the Protoss has no clue it's there. Hasn't even scouted. He is sending his Void Rays up here to the top right. Probes overheaded to the top left here. Looking at the income tab right now, about 1,500 to 1,400, 88 to 73 in the harvester count. Looking at that command center, looks like it's going to be heading right there, where there are still 3 Stalkers. Now notice the second pylon is here as well. Observer keeping an eye on the back entrance to the Terran base. We see the Void Rays still heading away as the Stalkers look to stop this expansion from going down. Sora not sending any forces over yet. There we go. Going to have the Hellions going in first. More units are being warped in by Jojo. Will they be enough to take out this expansion, though? I do not think so. That one Stalker blinking directly into the line of fire for the Thor. Not a smart move. But what is smart is the fact that he is keeping the Stalkers behind the mineral line here, trying to take out as many SCVs as possible, and now blinking away. He should be able to save all 3 of these Stalkers. Pylon will go down, however. Not surprised at all at that. Uh-oh, Sora is going to be losing this expansion now. We'll see how that's going to affect his income here. Both players are riding above 2K right now. Look at Protoss's probe count, man. Almost 100 probes. He is dangerously close to that. So if this game goes on for too long, that could affect his army size, but he will be able to produce more units to replenish the ones that he does lose at a quicker rate. So those Stalkers picking off the SCVs, good place for those. As we see, Sora is assuming a pretty defensive position in his mineral line for the natural expansion. Maybe looking to move out here. He is gathering his forces. Very Thor-heavy build now. Those Thors will be able to do a lot of damage to those Void Rays if they're clumped up. But we'll see. So far, he hasn't kept them too clumped here. Jozu doing a pretty good job. However, there's only 2 Colossi here right now, man. Those siege tanks could be a bit of an issue if those Void Rays go down. That's where most of Protoss's firepower right now is. You see 3 Zealots, 11 Void Rays, 2 Colossi, 3 Stalkers, and 2 Phoenix, compared to the 9 Thors, 20 Marines, 3 tanks, and 1 Raven. So here come the Void Rays just kind of hanging out down here in the southern portion of the map. This is most likely the position that the Terran player will go through in order to attack the Protoss base. We see Protoss throwing down another expansion here. Terran looking to move out. Is he going to make a move? He could decide to go through this rear entrance, or he could try once again to go up through the top. But now look at this. Jojo has opted for some Dark Templar. We'll see if that's really able to be effective. The thing is, though, that ComSat, perfect placement. He sees the army, and he sees the tech. Oh, man, look at those DTs going down very quick and morphing to an Archon at the last second. Not going to be enough, man. Doing what you can, but unfortunately for that Protoss, it is not going to be enough. Sora looking to move out, may decide to shut down this expansion. Hellions going to engage the Colossi. Uh-oh. Void Ray is going to be coming down here, heading over from the rear, going to try to catch the Terran from the flank. Terran is just annihilating these frontal forces, though, man. Oh, man, look at that. Thor's getting in position. Going to be doing tons of damage to those Void Rays. We see those going down super quick. The front 2 Thors absorbing a lot of those damage. One does go down. Protoss realizes those Void Rays are not going to be able to do any more, so he is pulling those back and then possibly try to engage the Terran at different place. Marines, oh man, not what the Protoss wanted to see there. Great idea to get those Marines out. Sora Ao, the King of Marines, possibly the upcoming King of Marines, at least from what we've seen, Don't know if he's looking to step on Marine King's throne, but we'll keep an eye on that here. I love finding the story of his games, man. It's always very entertaining. Like I said, make sure you watch the other games at the end of this video here. So, in the meantime, Terran is looking to just raffle stomp this expansion here. The Nexus has gone down. Probes are retreating. Oh, I'm sure he wishes his Hellions were right here catching all those probes. DTs are coming in here, going to try to do some damage. Not going to happen, though. Hellions actually engaging the Colossi, which are very close to the forces. They're staying in firing range. Not sure if that is the wisest move at this point. But, you know, like I said, man, there are just so many Terran forces here, I don't think it's going to matter. DTs coming in. Once again, they're going to try to catch the Terran off guard. He does see the distortion on the ground, though, so scans very quickly, takes those out, and continues to make his way into the main base. Meanwhile, he is sending some more Marines up here. It looks like they're going to be heading to the top left, while we do have one pylon being dropped at the expansion. Thor has a few things to say about that, though. Not going to have anything happen there. Main base going down for JoJo. He is in a lot of trouble at this point, folks. You look at the income, though, he is still sitting pretty darn good. He's got 91 to 64. The majority of his harvesters are located up here and right here. You see both these expansions are very, very saturated. Actually, this one's quite oversaturated there, but that's okay at this point in the game. You know, if he's able to get the production facilities and maybe some of the tech super quick, he'll have a chance. But right now, I like what Soraya is doing. He's sending out pressure 2 different points of the map, finishing off this expansion with his Thors, the siege tanks here. They're kind of beat up, but it's not going to matter because there's nothing down there to resist. A lot of the resistance capability is up here with these forces. There's also the Templar Archives, which was almost able to Chrono Boost out that Psystorm, just so close, and then died there. More Zealots are being warped in. I think this is going to be an act of desperation here, sending Zealots against Hellions and Marines, especially this quantity here, just not going to end well for the Protoss, who now has lost the entirety of his main base. This expansion still looking pretty safe, pretty secure. Not going to be for long, though, as the Terran does look to move his aggressiveness north, sending up more forces and also additional SCVs to start mining at this expansion. You see that his main is mined out, the natural just about mined out. This one, yeah, it's still pretty good, but, you know, there's only 5 patches there, so that's only going to last for so long as the Terran player continues to knock out the Protoss up here in the top left. You see that economy, man, it's just going away super quick, sitting on around 2,000 minerals. He was supply blocked there for a little while. A big issue considering he did lose all those structures down at his main base, just not able to build those units, rather. Trying to get reestablished here in the top right. This is his only new real good base here. This one, you know, there's 2 cannons. I mean, this one could go down super quick, pretty much as soon as the Terran finds it, which I don't think he's even scouted there yet. That may be on his radar, though, as he continues to move forward, this time heading towards the northeastern portion of the map. More gateways are going down. Protoss looking to really spend down some of that money. He's getting a Templar Archives and a Dark Shrine. Trying to get that tech up. The Psystorm will be great in dealing with the Marines. The problem is, though, it's kind of a risky move. You know, it's just, even the Archons at this point, I don't think he's really going to have a whole lot of choices here. As Sora is taking out those pylons, one of them does go down. Second one in imminent danger, will be going down very soon. No power up here for the Protoss base whatsoever. As the Dark Shrine's about 50%, it'll be going down first, and the rest of it is soon to follow. Terran sending over the majority of his forces to reinforce this fight. I gotta say, man, Protoss, I just don't see a way for him to come back at this point. He is running off of 1.5 bases right now, trying to reestablish a position at both spots at the same time. Really, I mean, with as good as scouting as Sora is using right now, you know, keeping a lot of pressure in these bases, I don't think it's going to be too long before the Protoss bases are found and eliminated. Terran at this point, you know, he's just pumping out stuff. I don't think he really cares too much. Not worried about additional tech. His weapons are currently sitting at 2 upgrades. Don't know if he has anything for the Marines. No, I didn't see anything like that coming down the line for him. So those 2 Thors, man, they do a lot of damage. 36 and then 16 versus light air, 8 versus normal. But notice they have 4 attacks. Very powerful indeed. Terran continuing to expand here as the giant blue ball of death looks to be heading out. Where's it going to be going here? Let's see, does he see any? Okay, yeah, he sees both of them there, having comstatted. Vespine Geyser exhausted. Always kind of freaky when you just hit vision for one person and you hear those random sounds coming up. But now the Terran player is going to be splitting up his forces, it looks like. There goes half of it down there. All of the Marines are going to be looking to engage where, well, there's only 4 gateways, a couple structures here. Not a lot going on, though. You see he's saving the big guns here to bust through the gateway wall. Little weak spot right there, but there's one photon cannon here. Almost done. Another one complete. Gotta use those Thors, man. Maybe he'll upgrade the strike cannons in the last 30 seconds. I don't think I've ever actually seen those used in a professional game. So there's the Marines taking out those forces. Actually, Cannon's getting a lot of kills there. Marines are very close to dying. Look at that because of the stim pack. And there's the GG from JoJo. Going to be giving Sora that win. So nice to finally see Sora take a victory with something other than Marines here. Although still very fun game to watch regardless of the tactics. So you should have those videos popped up on your screen just a second ago. They're not on GSL maps. They're a little bit older, but definitely worth a watch if you have not seen it yet. Alright, so I'm going to be keeping an eye out for more GSL games. I have another game on the same map that I'm going to be casting here very soon. I have another one on Terminus, and then on my favorite right now, Crevasse. So if you have not checked out those maps, definitely go give them a look. They should be available on the North American server right now. Play them with your friends. Send me the replays. Email is in the description below. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I'm out.